I stood frozen, my heart pounding, as the police officer hoisted my blind son's guide dog into the back of his patrol car. My 16-year-old ascot was whining, his voice a mix of fear and confusion. On the front lawn, my son, Caleb, sat sobbing, his arms flailing in the empty space where his golden retriever, Scout, should have been. Caleb was helpless without Scout, his constant companion, his eyes in a world that went dark after a devastating car accident last year. Now, that lifeline was being ripped away on the orders of a woman who saw my son as a flaw in her flawless neighborhood. Vivian Harper, the Oak Ridge Estates HOA president, watched with a smug grin, her arms crossed, savoring the chaos. For 20 years, I'd upheld federal law as a district court judge, but now I was witnessing it being trampled in my own front yard. This wasn't just about a doge, it was about my son's entire world. What would you do if someone tried to steal your disabled child's lifeline and thought they could skate by unscathed? After the accident that took Caleb's sight, Scout became more than a pet. He was Caleb's confidence, his bridge back to a life that could have broken him. At 16, Caleb faced challenges most adults couldn't fathom, and as a widowed father, all I wanted was a safe haven for us to rebuild. Oak Ridge Estates seemed ideal, tree-lined streets, top-tier schools, a tight-knit community the realtor promised. It sounded like the fresh start we needed. I kept my profession quiet during the home buying process. I didn't want special treatment as Judge Nathan Ellis of the federal bench, just a chance to be a normal family. We'd been in Oak Ridge for 2 weeks when Caleb felt ready to venture out with Scout. From the porch, I watched, my chest tight with hope. Caleb's hand rested on Scout's harness, his steps tentative but steadier with each block. For a moment, I believed we'd found a place to heal. I was dead wrong. 3 days later, an envelope slipped under our door, no postage, no return address. Inside, a typed letter in cold, formal prose: violation, unauthorized animal on premises. Fine, $750. Immediate removal required. My hands shook, not with fear, but with the same fury I'd felt presiding over civil rights cases when the law was twisted to harm the vulnerable. I requested a meeting with the HOA board, armed with Scout's service animal certification and every Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, document required. Vivian barely glanced at them, sliding the papers back with manicured nails. Your situation doesn't exempt you from our covenants, she said, her tone icy. Her eyes flicked to Caleb, seated beside me, Scout motionless at his feet. Some residents find certain disabilities unsettling. The visibility of it all, she added, as if it were a casual aside. I kept my voice steady, the same tone I used in court. The ADA explicitly protects service animals. Federal law trumps HOA rules. Vivian exchanged looks with her board. We've had residents try to claim special status before, Mr. Ellis, she said. This is an exclusive community. Our rules maintain our standards. That's Judge Ellis, I corrected softly. A board member's eyes widened, recognition dawning. Vivian's brow arched. Your profession doesn't grant you privileges here. This isn't your courtroom. She leaned forward, her voice a patronizing whisper. There are communities better suited for special needs. Perhaps Oak Ridge isn't the right fit. As we left, Caleb whispered, Dad, why do they hate Scout? I couldn't say the truth. It wasn't Scout they despised, it was what Scout represented. Caleb's blindness, in Vivian's eyes, tarnished her perfect neighborhood. I rested a hand on his shoulder, silently vowing to protect our home from her prejudice. What followed was a campaign of intimidation that would have impressed the sharpest prosecutors I'd faced. Security cameras sprouted, aimed solely at our house. Neighbors whipped out smartphones whenever Caleb and Scout stepped outside. 3 anonymous complaints to animal control accused Scout of aggression toward kids, each dismissed after inspections confirmed Scout's impeccable training. But every visit left Caleb more anxious, less willing to leave the house. When he tried joining other teens at the community pool, Vivian escorted him out, announcing that liability concerns required parental supervision for special needs residents. That night, Caleb's voice cracked. I don't get it, Dad. Scout never barks. I've never done anything to them. I documented everything: recordings, emails, photos, statements from a few brave neighbors. I knew harassment and discrimination law cold, but I kept my profession under wraps. Silence was my edge. The HOA upped the ante with emergency regulations. All animals needed DNA registration, residents with accommodations had to submit monthly medical updates, and service animals required muzzles in common areas. Fines piled up, thousands we couldn't pay. When I contested them, Vivian's letter warned, "The board finds your complaints disruptive to community harmony. Further disputes may result in lien proceedings." One night, I found Caleb in the dark, Scout's head in his lap. "They want us gone because I'm blind, don't they?" he asked. I made 2 calls, one to clear my court docket, the other to a trusted civil rights attorney. Vivian Harper had no idea the storm she'd unleashed. The day it all exploded was a Tuesday. Caleb had mobility training, so I dropped him and Scout off before heading to court. Mid-session on an interstate commerce case, my clerk burst in. "Judge Ellis, emergency. Your son called." Caleb's voice shook over the phone. "Dad, they're here, police, animal control. Vivian's saying Scout attacked someone. They're taking him." In the background, Vivian's voice cut through Ethan's panicked breathing and Scout's confused whines. "Stay calm," I said. "Put Scout on his lead, show his vest and ID. I'm there in 15. When I reached our street, a crowd had gathered. Officer Hayes stood by his patrol car, its rear door open, Scout halfway inside. Caleb sat on the lawn, clutching his white cane, one hand reaching for Scout's absence. Vivian's voice boomed. The dog lunged at a boy. "We've had concerns for months. Just because the child's blind doesn't mean we risk community safety." Some neighbors nodded, others filmed. Caleb sobbed, "That's impossible." Scout was on my left. "He never breaks position." Vivian snapped. "See how emotional he gets? This is the instability we're worried about." I approached slowly, deliberately. "Officer, what's happening?" Hayes, visibly uneasy, cleared his throat. "Reports of an aggressive animal." Vivian stepped forward. "Finally, someone's taking this seriously." I looked at Caleb, desperate, betrayed by a neighborhood that should have embraced him. Something in me snapped. Vivian sneered. "You should have followed the rules. First dogs, then who knows what kind of people move in." The crowd murmured. Hayes checked Scout's tags, preparing paperwork. "There's a process," Vivian lectured. "You can't just move in and expect everyone to change for you." I stepped closer. "Officer, what evidence supports the claim Scout attacked anyone?" Hayes shifted. "No physical contact reported." Vivian shoved a boy forward, no older than 6. "Tommy, tell them." The kid looked confused. The dog looked at me. Silence. Caleb hyperventilated. Scout whined from the car. I exhaled. "Officer Hayes, I have information that'll change your next 30 seconds. Vivian scoffed. "Don't intimidate him." "I'm not." I shed my jacket, revealing my credentials. "I'm Judge Nathan Ellis, Federal District Court. That dog is a certified service animal, protected under the ADA. This is a violation of federal law." The crowd froze. Hayes' eyes widened. Vivian's face paled. "I've documented every instance of harassment," I continued. "Today's incident joins a federal civil rights investigation." Vivian stammered. "You never said you were a judge. You never said you were targeting my son for his disability. Yet here we are." I faced the crowd. "For those recording, keep going. This is evidence." Hayes stepped back from Scout. "I apologize, Judge Ellis. I was misled." "You were," I said. And standard procedure was ignored. Scout bolted to Caleb, who clutched him, tears streaming. I turned to Vivian. "You scheduled meetings when I was in court, falsified reports, engaged in systematic discrimination." Vivian spun to her neighbors. "This is absurd. HOA rules don't supersede federal law." I cut in. Neighbors stepped forward, sharing their own stories of Vivian's overreach. Her allies wavered. Hayes corrected his report on the spot. Vivian's phone buzzed with frantic board calls. That night, an emergency HOA meeting packed the clubhouse. Neighbors who'd ignored us demanded change. One by one, they recounted Vivian's abuses. The vote was unanimous. Vivian and her board were ousted, replaced by a resident committee. 6 months later, Oak Ridge transformed. Caleb led advocacy programs, Scout became the community mascot, and neighbors who once turned away now walked with us. Vivian faced lawsuits, mandatory training, and a suspended real estate license. One day, Caleb said, "Dad, losing my sight showed me we don't choose our challenges, but we choose how they change us." He was right, and so were the neighbors who stood with us. True justice isn't about punishment, it's about building something better. Sometimes, it starts right on your front lawn.